Hey there, how's it going? Breakfast all day. Christy and Alonso and Matt. So now we're going to go and talk about a movie that is in New York this week. It's in LA next week. It's going to go wider, but I really liked it.
This is the other biography of Christy. Her Smell. Oh, sorry.
Wow. That was a reach. So Her Smell, I'll describe Her Smell. Or no, Alonso, you want? Alonso, you do it.
Oh, me? Yeah. Please, Alonso, describe Her
Smell. Lilac and desperation.
So Elisabeth Moss stars as Becky something, who is a rock singer, sort of in the Courtney Love mold, but not entirely. And she has a very successful band called Something She. Over the course of the film, we see that Becky is having a harder and harder time keeping it together, driving away her bandmates, her label, other collaborators, her husband, etc. But we also then see, after she's kind of lost everything, and what she does to get her life back on track and, renew her relationships, including that with her young daughter and her mother, who's played by Virginia Madsen. It's really kind of told in 5 vignettes, I guess, with the sort of interspersed material of the band at its most successful, getting on the cover of Spin and, scoring its first gold record and all that stuff. But then the rest of the time, it's sort of the day-to-day grind of being in a band and the personality clashes and the, all the other stuff that goes into it.
But it's also a little bit of the beginning of the end, right? Because with the first show that we see is kind of like the last stop on a tour, and it's a smaller venue than the stadiums or the big arenas that they had played. And they're like, and they just it's the night that they also find out that the European tour has been canceled. So it's as
the decline is
right.
Beginning,
it's as the party is starting to wind down, so to speak.
Yeah. And so, it is mainly this extraordinary character piece for Elisabeth Moss, who previously worked with writer-director Alex Ross Perry on Listen Up, Philip, and then on Queen of the Universe.
Queen of Earth.
Oh, Queen of Earth. Sorry, I always get that wrong. Queen of Earth. And, I think this is just, I found this movie riveting. I don't know enough about the world of music to know what it's getting right or wrong, but just to get inside the head of this woman who it would be very easy to sort of dismiss as like, she's crazy or she's flaky or she's, an addict or whatever. But there's so much going on inside her that Moss and Perry are letting you in on. And the evolution that she undergoes over the course of the film, the ups and the downs, are really amazing to watch. And I'm a fan.
It holds you in this spell because it is these 5 long scenes, and the movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, but does not feel like that because each of these individual if they're not long takes, they're not like individual takes, but they are individual moments. And they are so tense and so intimate and so uncomfortable and so real that you don't realize it as the whole time has passed. You've watched a really long movie. You feel like you've just been immersed in this world and you have watched this evolution. And it is a really big, showy part for Elisabeth Moss. And she can really do everything. And she seems to be very much on Alex Ross Perry's wavelength. Obviously, this is what their 3rd film together. But it's also sort of it's a big leap for Alex Ross Perry in a lot of ways. I would say narratively, in terms of just the scope of the film, a lot of his movies are much more intimate. It's maybe just like, a couple of characters in a house. Right. And this is more ambitious in terms of the time span, in terms of just the logistics of, a big concert scene, which they stage over and over again. And so I was impressed with the leap that he is making here as a filmmaker. There's a meanness to his movies. He's hard to take. And if you're not on his wavelength, you're never going to get on his wavelength because there is sort of a bleak, cynical view of the true nature of humanity in all of his films, that people are really only out for themselves and unapologetically so, and without any kind of evolution or remorse or redemption. And this doesn't have necessarily tidy, happy endings, but it has a more complete look at the possibility of humanity than we see in his ordinary films.
And also because I think this is, it's interesting pair with Listen Up, Philip, because that's a movie about writers and this is a movie about musicians. But it is that sense of like, I'm an artist, I'm a creator, I'm allowed to be this horrible because, you know, it's all part of the work. And yeah, you're right. This one sort of, I think, does allow a full arc where they can kind of get to the other side of not being a despicable human being and still being a creative, you know, artist as well.
There's a beautiful scene in one of the long scenes toward the end where she sings
Don't say what it is.
An a cappella version of a song.
Yeah.
She sits down at a piano, and that's all one long take.
Yeah.
She sits down, and it's a quiet, intimate moment, and it's a massive departure from the kinds of performances that she made her name on.
Right.
And there is the notion that this is who she truly is now, or maybe who she always truly was but was afraid to be. This is not Becky something at that point in time. Yeah. And it's deeply moving in a very subtle way.
Although there's a moment like going right into the song where there's that, like you see that little bit of like she can't turn it off, right? Where she's like, this is a cover, right? Like, which is what you would say in a show, right? Like, and that was like, it's still there. What I liked about this movie is that it gives you this really interesting portrait of a person who, you know, she's, at least the movie tells you, and everybody tells you, she's the creative force behind that band. And one of the things I was a little frustrated with is that you get told that more than you see it. But aside from that, like this is clearly someone who, you know, has also been in the limelight, and you're getting as the, you know, as the party is winding, as the party of the band, as the arc of that band's success has peaked and is winding down. You're seeing the aftermath of someone who everyone around her has been telling her that she's awesome and letting her get away with stuff. And it's, you know, and a lot of times in stories, you'll see somebody get built up that way and then they turn bad. And this one, like you've gone past, like you start in the middle of that. Right. And now she's starting to have to pay the consequences. And you see the breakdown where like it is starting to fall apart in her life in various ways. And she's not recognizing it, and she's, you know, you can't understand whether or not she's actually hit the rock bottom yet or not. And I thought that was real interesting.
There are like multiple rock bottoms,
right? Yeah, exactly. You know, but there's, you know, you see like her struggling to keep it together and hold it all in one place. And then I liked that, you know, even once you know, like there's parts towards the end where like, you know, I think a lesser script would have had her be nicer, and this movie doesn't. Like it lets her still be mean, and that was okay, right? And it's because this is a character that, as much as you get to know her, like there's still a lot of stuff to hate about her. Like she's still mean, and it not all the time, but she's struggling with who she was.
So much
right?
of that is her defense mechanism against the world, you know.
Right.
To your point about whether or not she actually is the creative force in the band, I think that when you see her try to put something together with different musicians, you see that she probably was not, because she just does not have her shit together, and that sort of pokes holes in the mythology of her, right?
Yeah.
To that point, it's an amazing supporting cast of actresses that we see in
Cara
various
Delevingne
bands.
and Annis Dane and Ashley Benson, who's always hilarious, and Amber Heard. Dan Stevens pops up as her ex-husband, and Virginia Madsen. Virginia Madsen as Elisabeth Moss's mom is perfect casting.
Perfect casting. They look so much alike.
Yeah, you know, I like this. For me, a lot of it was just Moss's performance. I think she's...
It's very showy.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So Alex Ross Perry has said that it's not necessarily inspired by Courtney Love. I mean, the character looks like her and her music kind of sounds like Hole, but it captures sort of a 90s angry girl band vibe that could be a lot of bands from that era. Some songs of which we heard in Captain Marvel, for example.
Yes.
It's that kind of vibe.
But good fake band movie songs in this movie, I thought.
Yeah.
Like the one that the three younger girls perform, I liked a lot, and the couple of times we get to hear something she performed, like, you know, there is a great tradition of women in rock movies, you know, Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains and Starstruck and Josie and the Pussycats and We Are the Best, and this definitely is a lot grittier and grimmer maybe than most of those other movies, but just as terrific. And it's probably of a piece with Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains, which is a pretty hard movie. At least it's hard on its characters. Okay. But yeah, I like this a lot.
Me too. I'm saying 8.
7.7.
7 for me.
Okay, so our number is 7.6. It's at 85%. Again, it's New York this weekend, LA next weekend, and hopefully wider someplace near you very soon.
Keep an eye out. Thanks for watching. Like this video, please, and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. You can also subscribe to us as a podcast in just about all the podcast places. And you can follow us at... No, that's me. Sorry. You can follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.